Today is just a really quick maintenance day on the Jeep. I've got a slight little issue and there's not a whole lot going on right now, so I'm just going to take the time and kind of address this. I've got a really bad squeak coming from the bottom of the Jeep, and I know what you guys are probably thinking, it's a Jeep, they all squeak. I'm a little OCD. I've went ahead and added grease to all of my little grease ports here, but the squeak is still there. I think that what it is on my track bar here, I think this is where my squeak is coming from, but it doesn't have a nipple on it to re-grease it. So I've ordered a new piece here. So all I'm gonna do is just undo my track bar and go ahead and just replace this whole piece right here. It should be an easy fix. Let's just jump under there and see if this takes care of my squeak. Is let's lift this Jeep up, take our driver's side wheel off, and then we're going to disconnect our Falcon. Now that we've got the wheel off, this is the nut that we're going to need to break loose, but we're going to do a couple of measurements first, and then we'll loosen this clamp up and we'll be able to pull this off. So with our new replacement piece here, we got this by, I think it's called Moog. And what they've included is our new little end piece here, and then also the sleeve, the replacement sleeve. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw this on all the way down as far as I can, and that's gonna preset this piece ready to go on to the new tie rod. All right, we're snug down to the end. Let's go ahead and break this old end piece off. And this one we got our castle nut. So while we're working on this, I'm going to go ahead and take a bungee and just kind of bungee this up to hold it for when it breaks loose. Now here we're going to go ahead and remove this bottom piece so that we can freely swing this thing once we get this thing loose. We just want to loosen this just enough to kind of loosen that grip right there. All right, let's take this nut off. That came loose pretty easy. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult than that. Okay, before we knock this loose, I think it's probably going to be frozen in there pretty good. I want to take a couple of measurements here. Okay, so there's two things I want to do here. I want to line this up with where it's supposed to be, and then I want to mark it on here, which will kind of give me a good secondary baseline. But once we knock this loose, we're going to count how many threads we actually reverse this out and screw this one back on the same amount of threads. Okay, to get this thing loose is not typically an easy thing to do, so we break out our persuasion stick here and we just hit it. Break all of this loose in here. Eventually, you give it enough persuasion to come loose. So now what we want to do, we want to reverse twist this out of its holder here, and we want to count how many twists, with this thing pointing up, how many twists will release this thing. So it looks like it took us right at 33 to get this out. I've got a little cleaner that I'm going to spray in here so I can make it a little bit easier to get it back in. And now, as a comparison between the old and the new, you can see the difference in that bulge right there. That's going to be our issue right there. See how it's just smashed flat? Let's get this new piece in. So remember, this is reverse threaded, so we're going to do lefty tighty on this one. We're going to start it off. 1. We're going to put our castle nut on here. Start to tighten that down. Our cotter pin inside that hole, which we can access that now. Let's spread that open. We can tighten this back down here. Now we can plug this up and add a little grease to it. Or a lot of grease to it. Pretty sure this thing is empty right now. I can see our bulge getting bigger here. See, now we're starting to come out here. That means we're full. We can pop this off. Go ahead and put our tire back on. The only thing to do, let this thing down and let's test it out and see if we got rid of the squeak. Fingers crossed. It was certainly an easy install, but it did not fix the problem. My squeak is still there. So the investigation continues. I got to keep on dissecting and trying to figure out where it's coming from. If you guys have any comments to look at, put them in the comment bar down below. I'll check it out. I've already greased all the points. So what are your suggestions?